What it do, boo? It's your girl Ash. Welcome to the Root of It Real Talk. I'm here with my friend Jenna. We're going to get to the root of forgiveness. What is forgiveness?
What is
What's your definition of forgiveness?
Ooh, forgiveness is hard. Forgiveness is the hardest thing you will ever do. I think it's the thing the enemy uses the most against us.
Yeah,
Because he knows it'll hold us back more than anything else.
I agree.
So my definition of forgiveness, my goodness, when you can think of that person who did something to you,
Yeah.
and you're not stirred anymore,
Yeah.
you know you're forgiven them.
Yeah. That's what somebody told me. They're like, I was like, how do you know when you're, well, you know, I'm not going to say her name, but she's like, I said, how do you know when you're complete, when you have complete healing? And she's like, I guess it's when, you know, you go through things that remind you of that, I guess, original incident. You're not shaken. You're not shaken by it. And I was like, well, I need some work because every time it happens, I'm shaken.
Yeah.
It'll happen all over again, all over again. It's like, I guess a lot of it has to do with like trauma and stuff, past trauma. And I think God's like, this girl is not getting it. Why? How many times do I gotta put her through these similar situations over and over and over again? Every time she's spazzing out like, she's gonna die. It's the end of the world. But forgiveness is one. That's a hard one.
It forces us to look at ourselves and within us to figure out why we want to hold on to it. What is it about us that, you know, forgiveness is hard for anyone, but it's really hard when you can't let go of something. It's really hard when that thing keeps nagging you day in and day out.
Yeah.
And you have to look into yourself and go back to the root of it and figure out, why do I hold on to this?
Yeah.
Why am I not letting this go? Why can't I let this go? And it's really hard, but I mean, the Lord can do it. The Lord wants to do it, and you got to let him. If you don't let him come in you and just fill those places. And really, I mean, the way you do that is just through praising, worshiping, getting in line with the Lord, and then he infiltrates your mind and your heart and positions you in a place to almost see that person the way he sees them.
Yeah.
And then you can begin to forgive. That's not to say that you won't wake up again the next day and have to do it all over again, but it gets easier.
I used to think I knew how to forgive in the past, but it wasn't true godlike forgiveness.
Right.
It was, I wouldn't forgive people. I wouldn't forgive anybody until I got what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't forgive anybody until they came like groveling back to me like, Ash, I was wrong and you are so right. I was such a bad friend. I was such a bad person.
Yeah.
And you were always there and you were so great. And I'm like, I know I was. You're welcome.
And that's great. That's amazing. It'd be wonderful. That happened every time.
Yeah, they'd be like, will you ever forgive me? And I'm like, yes.
I will
child,
grant you my forgiveness.
You are forgiven.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
Yeah, so what about when they don't admit they're wrong? What about when they don't want to own up to what they've done? And then it becomes a matter of you have to forgive them for you, not for them. Because I heard this said one time that forgiveness is like being in a prison cell and you're the only one that holds the key. So you've locked yourself in the prison of unforgiveness. And when you sit there, just that bitterness grows, that hatred grows, the enemy infiltrates that. And you absolutely cannot serve Christ the way you need to, serve others the way you need to, love the way you need to, and be who you need to be until you forgive. And
agreed. I never forgave anybody until they just came back telling me that I was right and they were wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad that you realized that. I knew it the whole time.
Yeah.
I forgive you. You're welcome. Let's go back to being what we were before.
And really, I mean,
And it happened a lot
yeah.
of times. Like I had a lot of people that it happened a lot of times, and I was like, wow, cool.
And if we're being honest, there's a lot of pride wrapped up in
Yeah.
that way of thinking. And I used to be that way also. And there was a lot of manipulation in my ways where I used to be before I knew the Lord. And that was, if I can manipulate you into thinking that you were wrong, and if I can just wait it out long enough, you're going to realize you were wrong. You're going to come groveling back to me, and I'm going to walk out smelling like a rose.
Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
used to wait it out so
but
long,
man,
like
the pride
you
that's
know what?
wrapped up in that.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, they'll come back.
Yeah.
They'll come back to me.
Yeah.
And they always
Yeah.
did. But
But
it's control, it's manipulation, and they say manipulation is a form of witchcraft, so I guess I was a good witch.
it's the opposite of what the Lord would have us do, but it feels so good, just like most sin does. It feels so good to be able to say, I was right. I'm going to manipulate this. I'm going to move the chess pieces around just so that when you come back to me, it's going to be glorious for me, not for anybody else, but for me.
Yeah.
And it's, just can't do that. You can't do that. You got to give it to the Lord.
Yeah. It's like Janet Jackson. Control. I get what I want.
Right.
I had that down packed. I really did.
Yeah.
And forgiveness. He put me through some tests this past year. They say be careful what you pray for. I prayed, God, make me more like you. And he's so forgiving. He doesn't keep record of our failures, our, faults, our wrongdoings. He keeps no record.
Right.
He just loves us and accepts us for who we are each and every time. Every time we screw up, he still loves us. He's not sitting there with tally marks of Ashley and Jenna sinned like this many times. No, none of that. And I did not know how to do that.
It doesn't come natural to anyone. Yeah.
It was definitely on a roller coaster learning how to do that. But I definitely said that prayer, and he was just like, yeah.
So you got a good lesson in what it means to pray for someone.
We'll see how much she wants to learn. She's gonna learn, all right. She's gonna learn today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pruning and the pruning, the cutting away the Lord does to us, just like the weeds, pruning the thorns off the weeds or off the flowers even, and then taking the weeds out of the garden. Man, that's painful. It's literally getting to the root of stuff, digging it up and tilling the soil to make it good, to make it fruitful again. And when you pray for something like that, like you did, the Lord's going to have to take you through some really painful stuff to dig deep into your past and into even the way you handle things now. It's like sometimes dealing with the past is easier than dealing with your current reality and the way you deal with things now.
Yep. I think, like this past year, I think it started with my mom. Yeah. But in a way, that was kind of a form of control too, because I was just like, this is what happened to me, everybody. And then I forced some things to occur. So it wasn't fully forgiveness, because I didn't fully forgive her until I got what I want.
That's right.
But I wasn't wrong in doing what I did either,
No, I don't think so either. But I do think that, and even in my own life, there's an element, and it's funny you say that, because I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said, people would never guess this about me, but I have a high level of social anxiety. And the way I deal with that is I'm very dominant, and I just take over situations.
That's me. I think it's a Leo thing.
It's like the same,
we have that masculine energy.
Yeah.
Because I get told all the time, like, you're so mannish. You're such a boy. You act like a little boy. And they're not lying.
It is true. You and I are a lot alike in that way, where growing up, I always played with the boys.
I don't act like a lady until I'm wearing a dress and heels.
Yeah, definitely. Have several different personalities over here, where I can just kind of be with the guys or be with the girls or whoever.
And I was raised around boys, and most of my friends were guys growing up too. I had some female friends, but I just gravitated to boys.
Right.
I was weird. I went from like super prissy, I was told when I was a baby. I didn't even like to have my feet on the grass, and I would cry. They were like, "You were so prissy," and then you just turn into a tomboy, and then now you have a balance.
Right.
Now I have a balance.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good though.
But that tomboy
I think that's
stage,
so good.
I go to my friends' houses, and then they'd be playing with Barbies and stuff, and I'd be like, "Where's your brother? Where's your brother's room?"
Yeah.
And I don't want to play with the
Like,
cars.
somebody give Barbie a softball or
Yeah,
something, please.
it's funny, but yeah, that masculine energy.
It
with,
is. A lot of times we,
trying to dominate situations.
yeah, again, a form of control, even though you don't realize it,
Yeah,
or manipulation, even though, yeah, I do realize I'm trying to control the situation. I don't really think of it as manipulation.
Yeah.
And if I can control something, then I don't have to feel anxious about it.
yeah. I get that social anxiety too. I get it in Walmart.
I don't even like to go in Walmart anymore.
I start sweating a lot in Walmart, but it's crazy. I can go to a concert with
I love
crowds.
that. Yeah.
I can go to like
It's all
a
about
club
the
or a
atmosphere,
concert.
though.
It's fine.
It's all about the
Well,
atmosphere.
as soon as I walk into the mall or Walmart, I'm just like, I gotta get what I gotta get and get the heck out of here. Yeah, but when it comes to like forgiving people and dealing with relationships, you're anxious or you're nervous about it, so you're like, you tap into that. I'm gonna just be aggressive and take
Right.
control of this.
Because most people aren't aggressive.
Yeah,
So if you can be aggressive, if I can be aggressive, then I already won.
yeah,
I'm already a winner.
yeah.
In whose mind, though?
I've done that so many times. I could be so nervous or anxious about a situation, and I'll just be like, get it together, Ash. Just
Yeah.
take control. And then I jump into it, and sometimes I screw it up.
Sometimes we do. And it's not a bad thing to be dominant. It's not a bad thing to be that way. It is a bad thing, I think, to be that way with a certain outcome in mind. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
manipulate.
And certain people, because there'll be some people like they don't care. Like they'll mistake that I guess aggression or dominance. Not aggression, dominance. They'll mistake the dominance for confidence.
Yes.
I've been told by many people where they're like, "Oh, you're so confident. I wish I had that."
Am I?
And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I just look confident. I'm human. I
Yeah.
have insecurities like everybody
yeah.
else. I'm in my head all the time, but everybody would always be like, "Oh, you just seem so confident." And I'm just like, this is because I have muscles.
I get that too. And so often I wish, but I don't wish, because then it would like lift the veil and expose me.
Yeah.
We don't like to be exposed. I wish that, just for like a week or two, a camera could follow me around, because
Yeah.
all of these people, even in like health coaching that I do, all these people are like, I wish I could be like you. I wish I could do it like you do it. And I'm like, first of all, I fail more than I succeed. And you guys have no idea how hard it is, even some days, just to get out of the bed for me.
Yeah.
Like, it is a conscious effort I have to make just to, for lack of a better word, survive most days.
Yeah.
Just to go and do and show up the way I do. I mean, it's, I think sometimes we don't do ourselves, or we do ourselves an injustice
Yeah.
by coming across having it all together so much,
Yeah.
because it causes other people to be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I can't be like that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Honey, I can't be like that either. I mean,
Yeah. I think I've made many people feel like that. And I'm just like,
yeah,
but then I'm such a cheerleader. Like, you can do it too.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm such a cheerleader for other people, but I'm like not one for myself at times.
Yeah.
But as far as that whole control thing, I think that's almost like a demon when it comes to forgiveness. Because with forgiveness, you don't have control over the situation.
No.
Yeah, you sometimes not gonna get your own way, but you still have to love this person like God.
Yeah.
If you're walking in Christ and aiming to be like him and operate out of the Holy Spirit and not flesh, you can't have any bitterness or resentment or anger or aggression. It's just love. And that's a battle.
It is a battle, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I don't want to do it." And let me tell you, the way to do it is honestly turn on your praise music in your house.
Yeah.
And there's something about just raising your voice when you're praising God. Whether you're praying, whether you're declaring things, whether you are just singing the words to the songs, you are praising God. You are throwing that into the atmosphere, and the enemy cannot be in the same place as that. So what happens then? All that pride, all that manipulation, everything is removed, and the presence of God comes in, and it allows you supernaturally, this is the one thing I cannot explain, to forgive, to have compassion, to see that person the way they are. Never forget, a few years ago, somebody did me deeply, deeply wrong. It was one of the worst hurts I've ever had.
Yeah.
And the Lord, through praise, worship, praying, speaking out loud, just doing all of that, I would dance around my house and pray for hours.
Yeah.
I would turn all that anger and all that bitterness and all that, like I want to punch him in the face. I would just turn all of that into praise to the Lord. And he so beautifully not only came into that situation and enabled me to forgive this person, to open the door to have a conversation, but that person and I were able to come back and have a better relationship than we ever had before. And that is only God.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, I would have never in a million years even desired a relationship again with this person.
Yeah.
So the Lord is a miracle worker.
Yeah. In a way, I mean, even there was some control aspects with my mom.
Yeah.
The God was in that, because we do have a much better relationship than ever before. I don't talk about it. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's not brought up. It's dead. It's done. Namaste. But as far I mean, you already know. Had, breakups with boyfriends and stuff. I can say I forgive them. It's done. It's gone. Love them like Jesus. But I don't want to see them ever again. And that's okay too. You can still love and from a distance. But friends. Friends is the hard one for me. Men, honestly, it's easier for me to let go of a man than it is for me to let go of a friend. I think I take my friendships more seriously than my relationships with men. And I think that's when it's that inner child thing. Because I grew up with brothers, but I always wanted a sister. Always, always, always. So when it comes to like female friends, ones that I can really connect with and I consider them sisters, I can attach myself pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like fast friendships. And that's happened 2 times. It's not any female, like it's just, know, the ones you connect with for real.
Right.
It happened 2 times, like that, like attachment issue. Once with, she was my former bodybuilder coach. But then we just became friends, and it was like a big sister, little sister thing. And it was, that's just what it is, It was that. And ended up getting into a car accident. There was a lot of trauma involved with that. I dealt with it differently. She dealt with it differently. And we got into it, and then we didn't talk for like 2 years at all. And I beat myself up about everything.
Yeah.
Even for all the mean things she said to me, I was just like, how do I fix this? This is all my fault. And I kept trying, and she was just like pulling away. And then I just had to like let go. And then we, reconnected. I talked, she talked, and it was restored.
Yeah.
I prayed for it. I always prayed for it, and it was restored, and it's better. And definitely not attached as much as I was before, but big sister in my heart forever. And she knows who she is when she watches this.
And for me, it's about having dealt with abandonment at a very young age, or
Yeah.
17 years old. It's like you keep everyone
Yeah.
at arm's length
Yeah.
to a degree.
Yeah. Because you're so afraid of being left. And then when you experience that abandonment feeling again, you're so hurt, it's hard to forgive.
Yeah.
You keep bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. That's me. I want to keep talking about it and talking about it. And I mean, that's why I started this, because I want to talk about stuff all the time. But, that doesn't help. It doesn't help with the forgiveness part.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that whole abandonment thing is...
Oh, yeah.
That's a demon. I cast it out.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I'll tell you, having gone through that situation I just referenced a minute ago, where I had to forgive that person, and then them coming back and us having a stronger relationship than we ever had before, I definitely think that, I don't want to say cured completely, that took so much of that fear of abandonment out of me, because I realized in that moment that during those months where this person was not in my life, I was like, the Lord came in and so supernaturally filled that void and left me with I was still very sad. I was still questioning a lot. I was still, but I didn't feel empty. And then I knew, you know what, no matter what happens to me, the Lord is always going to be there to fill that void.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fear. The Lord just told me, like, you don't have to fear being abandoned anymore, Jenna, because I'm never going to leave you.
Yeah.
So don't worry about getting too close to people and them leaving you, because I'm never going to leave you. It's like working through some of the worst things in our lives. The Lord truly reveals himself to us like that.
Yeah, and that abandonment it'll make you just put walls up and not want to let anybody in, but that's only damaging yourself in the end. So I think with God, you even if you've lashed out because of an abandonment type situation, you have to forgive yourself. Like, definitely when God comes into our lives, it's not just about forgiving others. We have to forgive ourselves, even for the things that we struggle with, like attachment, abandonment issues, anger, anything really.
Right.
Depression, because we can beat ourselves up.
That's a big one.
Yeah, we can beat ourselves up, and it's like, why? Just forgive yourself. Forgive yourself first. I think once we forgive ourselves first, we can forgive others.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we think that for some reason we've been so indoctrinated to believe, and it's just ingrained in our mind, that shame is a natural part of the healing process, or a natural part of the whole process. And it's like, no, shame is not from God. It's from the enemy. We were never meant to feel shame. Conviction is that gentle nudging of the Holy Spirit. Oh, Ashley, you know you shouldn't have really done that.
Yeah.
Why don't you go apologize for that?
Yeah.
And shame is, you're just a horrible person. You're just so mean. You will never be able to have a normal relationship because you can't stop yourself from lashing out. And it's like, whoa, time out. That just went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's the enemy. That's the enemy. That's the enemy. And God is in the restoration business. He is always waiting and wanting to restore you, me, and all of our relationships.
Yep. I agree. The biggest test of my forgiveness was with a friend. Won't say her name. She knows. She'll know when she sees. But God was like, okay, you want to be like me?
Yeah.
You want to learn how to forgive like me? Okay, watch this. And I won't say what was done because that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, I was just hurt in a really big way. And I freaked out. I turned into a monster. I roller coastered with it. I was so angry. Like, you're my friend. How can you do this to me? I love you like a sister.
Yeah.
How can you do me like this? I would never do you like this. And never say never, because I did her like that. You know? I roller coastered with it because it's that shame thing. That shame came in. I felt bad about me. I felt bad about her. I felt bad about the whole freaking situation. And I drank about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I won't blame it all on medication, but in the midst of it, I found out that I had bipolar disorder. And there were some medicines that didn't agree with me that made me trip a lot. But a lot of my lashing out was me because I was pissed.
Right.
And I have a hard time getting out of my head. I'll overthink my overthinking. I will overthink myself into oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be in my head talking to myself like, Ash, get out of your head.
Yeah.
Get out of your head.
Yeah, isn't that
like,
fun?
Yeah, like you're killing yourself. You're beating yourself up here. You should be over this by now. Let it go. Let it go. And I just had so much trouble letting it go. I'm like, God, help me let it go. I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying. You know, I feel hurt. I feel betrayed. I feel bamboozled. I feel abandoned. The abandonment came in. And I just went on a roller coaster of I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I freaking hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, over and over and over again. And the Lord gave me a gift with words, and sometimes they're wise and sometimes they're deadly. Yeah. And what's that scripture? You know, about the power of the tongue.
Oh, the Bible says that the power of the tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yeah. I'm great at speaking life, but sometimes I'm better at speaking death when I'm angry.
Death is easy to speak.
It's really easy.
Oh man, it feels so good sometimes.
Yeah, and my words, they cut like a knife. So at that point, I was like, who's really right here at this point? And I was just looking in the mirror at me, like, you can't play the victim anymore.
Well, when you're clever, you've been blessed with a way with words, and you're dominant.
And you're witty.
Ooh, yes.
In an argument.
And that's me. And I'm telling you, marriage has rid me of that because you cannot be that way and have a successful marriage. So, oh man, if you ever want to be holy, get married. The Lord will. That is a sanctification process. But yeah, when you have all those combinations and then that dominance to just roar like that lion, you can destroy someone with your words. You can kill them with your words. And it is not, and a lot of times it's not that, we don't think of it as being as bad as it is. It's just so natural for us to be that way. That when
like Leo,
when we
Sarabi, call me Sarabi.
When we do hurt them, it's like, oh please, why are you that hurt? You can't be that hurt. But truthfully,
you hurt me worse.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Was worse.
Yes.
It was the ultimate offense. And I'm just out here ripping people's throats out with my words. And I'm just like, no, that's not as bad.
So the Bible doesn't give us like a middle ground. It says life and death. So if you're not speaking life, you're speaking death.
Yeah.
So man, that's like, yeah, it's like a gut check because it's like your words are so powerful. They truly can cut people down. Yeah. They truly can. And not only that, but the tone of your words.
Yep. And when I'm angry, that tone is not, it's not great. In an argument, I'm always gonna win. I always have something to say. It's always
Yeah.
better, and by better I mean worse,
Yes.
deadlier, poisonous, like the serpent.
Like that 1-2 knockout
Yeah.
punch. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I got you. What is it? The dozens is jokes, but back and forth. No, it's a boxing match, and I'm knocking you out. Tick, 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 tick.
Right.
Whether it's through text,
Right.
a written letter, verbally, anything. Yeah, and that's part of me I do not like. Mm-mm. And I prayed, like, God, help me get rid of this anger. And that was a part of it, too. Oh, she wants to get rid of this anger. Okay, we'll see how angry she doesn't get when this happens. And I failed. I fumbled through the whole situation. It was a roller coaster. I'd be like, I love you, I love you. And then I'm like, F you.
Yeah.
Basically, over and over. So that's why I looked at myself. I started looking in the mirror at myself. I blamed myself for the whole. There was at one point where I just blamed myself for all of it.
Yeah.
Myself for all of it. What I did, what she did, what I said, what she said. I beat myself up. I don't know why I do that.
Yeah.
I'll get in my head and be like, you got to fix this.
Well, because we're also perfectionists.
Yeah. I'm like, it's messed up. You are wrong. You got to fix this.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What did you do wrong? Even in the first moment, initially, when I wasn't wrong yet, I was still in the mirror like, how could you let this happen? You are so naive.
Yeah.
Well, you got to fix this.
It's that deep-rooted need to feel worthy. And
it comes from love.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It comes from a good place because I love hard, I love big, but then it turns into something not good, like shame and things like that. But then, I did it so much that I got angry again and said what I said, did what I did, and that's when I was like, you're no saint. You are just as wrong. It doesn't matter what was done. Your words were worse.
Right.
At that point. And there's another scripture about, I think it's in the book of James. Like if you don't tame your tongue, your religion is pointless, basically. And I don't want my religion to be pointless.
Well, the Bible does say, and I wish I could quote where it is, but I can't. The Bible does say, so you can say all these things, you can do all these things, but if you don't have love, you have nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, good for you, good for me, that we're just so clever.
Yeah.
And we have all the right responses and the right answers, and yeah, technically we're right, but if we don't say it with love, if we don't deliver it with love, and that's hard, but you know what? The next time you encounter something, though, you'll handle it differently because you always, and I walked with you through this, so I know, you always turned back to the Lord. Every single day, you turned back to the Lord. So that's what it's about. That's part of that pruning process.
Yeah. I kept trying. I definitely kept trying.
You did, so that makes it's not a failure.
But I felt like it was a failure.
Sure.
Many times because I roller coastered so hard and then I was so ashamed of myself for the things that were said.
Those emotions, man.
Yeah. And my therapist was like, you need to learn how to regulate. We got to get balanced, and that takes time. Retraining my brain.
It does. Yeah, and I've told you, I went through therapy about 10 years ago for about 3 years, and I had to retrain my brain. And I did some intense, like, cognitive behavior therapy, and I would carry this. It sounds so silly now, but it was true. I didn't know how to deal with anything. So I would carry this flow chart with me everywhere I went. Okay, I feel this emotion now. What happened to lead me to feel this emotion?
Yeah.
This happened. Okay, why did that happen? And then it would root you all and like map you back to like, it's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay. Everything's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge advocate for therapy. And the Lord in conjunction with therapy,
Mm-hmm.
all of that can just be so beautiful
Yeah.
to
I
heal.
need Jesus in therapy.
Absolutely. Most people do.
Yeah.
And they don't even know it.
Yeah. Some people think they just need Jesus, and they just, I believe in the power of prayer, but you need therapy too sometimes.
Well, here's the thing. Jesus can and will heal anything,
Mm-hmm.
but just like we have medication for whatever
Yeah.
ailment you have out there, just like we have glasses to help us see, or, you break your leg, you have crutches to help you walk. So is therapy a lot of times
Yeah.
for people to help them. It's just another aid and tool that the
Yeah.
Lord uses
Yeah.
to help us heal. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong. There's such
Yeah.
a
Some
stigma.
people are afraid of it.
It
Yeah.
is a little scary, but it's scarier staying in that place of constant chaos. And I had reached a point where I was like, I was afraid that I would not be able to live the way I was
Yeah.
any longer. I mean, I was literally afraid of my instability
Yeah.
in my head. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have to do something about this. If not for me, for my daughter. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah. I believe God made man, and man became doctor for a reason.
Oh, yes,
So,
absolutely.
You need both sometimes, and that's okay.
It is okay.
I needed both. But I roller coastered so hard. I was in therapy, like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
The situation, it ate at me so much, where I ran into therapy like, I don't think I just have PTSD. I feel like I'm bipolar. I know there's something else going on. And she gave me that assessment, and it's through the roof for both of them. She was like, you need a psychiatrist now.
Yeah.
And then I went, and yeah, have both. But it's not my identity or anything. I just have it.
Yeah.
Learning how to balance. But I learned how to balance through the situation, and it was still a crazy roller coaster.
Right. But if you had never gone to therapy, you would still have it.
Mm-hmm.
You just wouldn't be getting help for it. And you wouldn't be healthy.
Yeah.
As healthy as you are now. And I think that's the stigma that's attached to it. I don't want to be labeled with anything. I don't want to, and it's like, why? Because you have what you have, regardless of, and putting a label on it doesn't mean that's your identity. It means that's just one facet of something you have to deal with. It's not your identity at all. That's not how Christ, labeled you as, oh, Ashley, who's bipolar. It's like, no, it's Ashley.
Period.
Ashley, who's so eloquent with words, and who's so wonderful, and who's a great friend and a child of God, and who has to deal with an illness. And that's all there is to it. It's just an illness that you deal with. It's not an identity.
Yeah.
So, for me, my thing was I went to the therapist and I was like, yeah, pretty sure I'm bipolar, pretty sure I'm this, pretty sure I'm that. And he's like, I just need you to chill out. You're like literally none of those.
Yeah.
What you have is so much repressed trauma that and then you've added trauma on top of trauma because you've coped with your trauma by adding more trauma.
It all came to the surface.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because the drugs and alcohol could just no longer soothe that anymore. The Xanax only goes so far. So once you reach a dead stop with that, and I never had a problem so much like where I was doing it all the time, but I did like that. The Xanax was my saving grace, and it was like it got to a point where even that wasn't doing anything, and you just have to heal. And
I know when I was taking it, I'm like, this is great. This is the savior. This
is
healing.
Great, but you know what it does? It's like a mask. It's like a mask. It just makes everything great in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But until you, and there's nothing wrong with medication, nothing at
Yeah.
all. And until you, though, you have to also work on your issues.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just taking medication and you're not addressing the root of the issue,
Yeah.
it will never go away. Ever go away. And
Agreed. Agreed.
yeah. And I mean, you do have, we do have things like bipolar disorder where, okay, Ashley may have to be on medication for that forever. And that's cool though, because
Mm-hmm.
you're also addressing your issues. So I
Yeah.
think once you reach to the end of addressing your issues,
Mm-hmm.
do whatever you need to do at that point to be healthy.
Yeah.
Medication, not medication, whatever. I just want to make that very clear. I'm an advocate for medication.
Mm-hmm.
I am a strong advocate for it.
Yeah.
It saved my life a couple times.
Yeah. Once I got to that point of done being beaten up myself, once I got to that point, I was able to forgive myself. Like, okay, you have this, it's fine. You screwed up many times. You called this person many names. No wonder distance is needed.
Yeah.
But I was even, distance was needed. But I was still on the roller coaster. A little bit of the abandonment came in, like I was like,
Oh, yeah.
come back. And she was like, no.
Yeah.
Love you, but no. And I understood why. I don't blame her. I'm like, you're going to talk to me this way? Deuces.
Yeah.
Temporarily. But I had a hard time with that. That's why I just wavered in it for so long. And other people were like, why are you dwelling on this?
Yeah.
You're dwelling. And I'm like, no, I'm not dwelling. It's pretty sure it's still happening. Pretty sure it's still ongoing. Not dwelling.
That's the thing when you're walking through something and other people are like, you just got to get over it.
Yeah.
You've just got to forgive. And it's like, sister, it's still going on. This is active in my life.
So many people were like, you need to learn how to forgive. And like, I know, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And you forcing me.
It is absolutely a process, yes.
And the crazy thing was, when it first happened, I did force myself. Like, Ash, you gotta love like Jesus.
Yeah.
What does Jesus do? He loves, that's it. And I did force myself. And it was because of the love that I had.
But what was that like for you to force yourself to do that? What was that process like? How did that make you feel when you forced yourself to?
In the beginning, I felt good about myself. Like, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do know.
And it worked for a little bit. But then something else happened. And it was just like, knocked back all the way to the beginning. And the rage came out. And being forced to forgive too quickly.
Yeah.
When you've been through trauma, what comes up? All that repressed trauma from your whole entire childhood on up, and the fire, all at this one person. And they don't even deserve all of that. They just get the whole entire flame. And that's exactly what happened. So I was not shocked that, this person did not want to see my face.
Right.
We texted, but I was not surprised that she didn't want to see my face. And the feeling was quite mutual in the moment. But even in that moment, I looked in the mirror and I beat myself up again. Like, why can't you control your freaking emotions? Like, why can't you just shut up and not say mean stuff to people?
Right.
Why are you so angry all the time? I was crying in my therapist's office, and I was like, I feel like there is you ever seen the movie Firestarter with Drew Barrymore?
No, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, I feel like that girl is inside of me, and she keeps coming out, and I'm trying not to let her. And every time she comes out, people are afraid of me.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of her. I cried. I was like, I'm tired of it. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And she was like, we started doing the whole inner child work because it had a lot to do with abandonment and attachment and looking for just like love.
Yeah.
Like through people.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. She even made me talk to my dad. Not in person, like
Right.
to a chair. And I had to pretend that it was my father. And I was like, ugh. I was a mess. But yeah, I don't agree with forcing forgiveness. I believe in forgiveness, but it takes time.
Yeah, we're really not in a place to ever tell anybody how quick they need to forgive someone.
Yeah.
Our only responsibility is to point them back to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you can do, because I don't know what Ashley's been through. I'm not you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, like, I could never fully understand the magnitude of the trauma from your
Yeah.
past, from anyone's past,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to tell them, oh, you have to forgive right now, because it's not, most people are not healed. Most people are walking around unhealed with open wounds. And when you say, oh, you have to forgive right now, it's like, but I don't even, first of all, I don't even know how. Like, I know what the
Yeah.
Bible says, I know all of this, but that's why I think it's so important to, like, almost like lashing out at the Lord, but you're not really lashing out in an angry way.
Yeah.
You're taking all that emotion and just throwing it into that praise and worship. And that's when I believe that the healing begins to come. Now, you will still have times where, in forgiveness is a process.
We're human.
In that process where you say things, you do things, you think things, okay? And that's the hardest thing
Yeah.
to get under control, that are not godly, that are not in line with what the Lord wants. But I know that the Lord is pleased with the process of forgiveness. I believe just as much as he's pleased with the actual end result of forgiving, because the Lord does know all of your trauma. The Lord does know everything you've been through. And you didn't used to turn to the Lord. I didn't either.
Yeah.
So I think it pleases him that we are, okay, Lord, I'm turning to you. You work with me through this. And then does it please him that we say things we say and do things we do? No. But the whole, it's a process. And that in itself, when we walk through it with the Lord, is pleasing to him.
Yeah. The road to forgiveness involves extreme pruning, especially if you are a fire starter. But this episode is pretty long, so
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap this up here, and we'll see y'all in part 2. Deuces.